What's up with NDCs? I've got a better question. What are NDCs and where do they come from? They come from Paris. Not that Paris, this Paris. The Paris Climate Agreement. NDC stands for Nationally Determined Contributions and are a non-binding national plan highlighting climate change mitigation, including climate change-related targets for greenhouse gas emission reductions. Sounds important, right? Well, they should, but there's always a but. And sadly, it's a pretty big but. They're mostly a lot of made-up gibberish. Here's an example. This is Malaysia, and so is this. Some of Malaysia is not on the Malayan Peninsula, but instead on the island of Borneo, which is shared with Indonesia and Brunei. Why this is has a lot to do with British and Dutch colonialism, but that is a different story. The main point is that the island of Borneo is heavily forested. Actually, it's heavily deforested, but that is also a story for another day. The point is there are still some trees there. One side of an arbitrary border decided by colonialists hundreds of years before, and some trees on the other side of the border. But they are trees. They don't know which country they're in, they don't have a passport or anything like that. But these trees are very different when you compare the NDCs from Malaysia and Indonesia. You see, the trees in Malaysia, according to the reporting in their NDCs, breathe in 4 times the carbon dioxide that the same trees a few meters away across the invisible Indonesian border can absorb. So either Malaysia's trees have been working on their cardio while Indonesia's trees have been skipping roots day, or someone's fiddling with their numbers. The answer, of course, is that someone is fiddling with their numbers. Which is it, Indonesia or Malaysia? Well, you'd hardly tamper with your test results to make your grade worse, would you? So it is highly likely that Malaysia is overstating how much CO2 its forests are absorbing, which is a problem in itself, but a problem on a global scale when you start to wonder how many other governments are pulling their NDCs out of thin air, either because the truth hurts or, in too many cases, they don't have the capacity to do the calculations properly. If any system dreamt up by a bureaucracy is likely to be, well, bureaucratic. Then imagine a system dreamt up by all the world's bureaucracies.
We don't measure our success by results, but by activity, and the activity is considerable and productive.
For too many countries, it becomes an overload. They risk falling into the trap of spending too long reporting on climate change-related data, instead of taking practical steps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Another challenge is that there is no standardized approach to reporting on NDCs, and therefore no 2 reports look the same. This is more than just an apples and oranges comparison. It is every fruit in the fruit shop compared to every cut of meat in the butcher's and every fish in the fish stall. Imagine it is someone's birthday and you want to make a cake. You get the recipe book, open to the appropriate page, and it just says cake. No ingredients, no weights or measures. It just states the word cake. How much flour you use is up to you, as is, whether you use flour at all. How you measure it is up to you. Whether you measure in cups, ounces, or grams is, again, up to you. And if this is your first time baking a cake, no problem. No one said you need to bake it either, so why not deep fry it? Delicious. There's the worst part about the whole situation. Despite garbage in, garbage out data, and no 2 NDC reports looking the same. Even if these are some image-related reasons to make the bottom lines look a lot better than it is, we are still collectively failing to hit the targets. Let's pause and think that through a bit more. We are chasing after some notional goal based on multiple disconnected data sources, where those providing the data might have strong incentives to varnish the truth to make them look better than they are, and we still can't even meet those numbers. There has to be a better way. And there is, if we just look up. There are thousands of satellites orbiting the Earth. These satellites are capable of many incredible things. They can see if the forests are still there, and if they are, the satellites can see how dense they are, and estimate how much CO2 they can absorb. Some satellites can look for greenhouse gases such as methane, and whether your local city dump is emitting more or less of it, or whether the capture and storage mitigation is genuinely working. Indeed, there is a whole heap of information from satellites and remote sensors that can help to improve the process of developing NDCs. Bringing that information together on the blockchain not only keeps everyone honest, the interoperability can vastly streamline the NDC calculation process. This approach will also standardize data so that one country can be compared to another, painting a more accurate picture of the world as a whole. If we have accurate data on an immutable ledger, within an intuitive system that frees up people an effort to actually make changes and improvements, the alternative is moment-by-moment report on the experience of collectively falling off a cliff in slow motion without any action to arrest the descent. What do you think can be done? Leave your ideas for how NDCs could be improved below, along with suggestions for future videos. Subscribe so you're notified when we upload, and thank you for watching.